get these bombshell details today in the alleged affair between Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade and the DA in Fulton County, Fani Willis. This as Wade's trips to the White House are coming under scrutiny. A hearing takes place this afternoon, and Steve Harrigan back in Atlanta to follow the bouncing ball of sorts. Hey, Steve, good morning.
Good morning, Bill. The latest hearing, 2 o'clock this afternoon, and defense lawyers really want to know what went on between multiple meetings with Biden White House officials as well as the district attorney and her chief prosecutor here.
Whenever there is a meeting between a prosecutor and a political office or individuals, there's obvious concerns. The concerns are that there is political influence that is directing the prosecution and possible coordination.
The district attorney, Fani Willis, has some new problems. Fulton County officials say they're not going to give her the new car she requested for her office until the DA answers some questions about this scandal.
I don't want to approve any money until those allegations have been addressed. She's been asked to comment on them. She has not.
And there are more hearings ahead. The chief prosecutor, Nathan Wade, will be in court next week for his divorce proceedings. He's likely to be asked about his relationship with the DA.
Yes, it's steamy.
Wait a minute. Don't I know you?
Never gets old. That's a oh, we got a really good one for Big Fani this morning, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, now is time for offense. Now is time for winning. Are you prepared? I certainly am. Today is Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Judge calls for hearing on Fani Willis's White House trips, along with Loverboy's little White House trip. You know, Loverboy was charging Fani Willis top dollar overnight and his trips to the Biden White House. What was going on there? Ladies and gentlemen, did Loverboy leave the cocaine in the White House? Maybe we'll figure it out. Red state governors back Greg Abbott in border showdown with Biden regime. We are witnessing a Fort Sumter moment here, baby. Things are about to pop off. And I am joined by the Attorney General of Texas today. Ken Paxton joins the show. He's going to talk all about it. We're very excited about this. This may be the moment. This is a 1776 moment on our program today. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. Lots of breaking news. 2024 will be one of those years where we will be traveling a lot and where we will be going out into the field and we will be showing you truth. We have invested heavily in the ability to do documentaries here and the ability to actually do original, hard, on-the-ground news reportings as corporate media gets gutted because they were activists simping on behalf of billionaires. We are going to take that energy and steal it. We will grab the ball and run with it. And we'll do it for you because we actually answer to one person alone. You, the audience. That's it. That's it. As we go out in the field and as we do these stories, we actually intend on going to Texas, California, a number of different states, South Carolina for the primaries. Nikki Haley's hometown. Wait till you see what we have ready for that. We got to make sure that we are connected. And the way that we do that, Patriot Mobile, ladies and gentlemen. Patriot Mobile keeps us connected and tied in, locked in, to make sure that we can reach you and connect with you. They are a conservative, Christian, free speech cell phone company that keeps us connected on the road. Go to patriotmobile.com today/Benny to stay connected with us and our program and to speak freely. Make sure that you use the code Benny to get free activation today. Join me and make the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Benny. 972-PATRIOT if you wish to call and make the switch today. Stay connected for content like this. Oh, baby. Big Fani has got a bit of a pin in her cushion. If you picking up what I'm laying down, she said, "Oh my, I have sat in it, stepped in it today." Everything is unraveling. It is incredible. I'm a Christian, and I don't pretend to be any type of Bible scholar. I'm a simple Christian, all right? I've read my Bible, okay? And I've read the stories. Don't pretend to understand all of it, right? But I do love the Old Testament. There is something really special about Old Testament justice. And what you see with the corrupt and evil rulers of that time is that God, in his own way and in his own time, and sometimes it doesn't happen, sometimes it does, in his own time, he takes those leaders, whether it be Pharaoh or whether it be evil kings of Israel or prideful kings of Israel, corrupt kings of Israel, he takes them, even some of his chosen, like David, like he humbles them. He humbles them. They are humiliated. And it's oftentimes like very public, okay? With great great power, great responsibility, right? So it's very public and it's embarrassing. And your sin shall find you out, and the truth shall set you free. And ladies and gentlemen, you are watching a bit of a pillar of salt. I'm not saying that Fani Willis doesn't need any extra sodium in her diet, but I'll tell you this, pillar of salt is what she is becoming right now in the public eye. Bad things are happening to Big Fani. Now, we detailed last week that the judge has now dragged Fani Willis into court over the hiring of her paramour, her boyfriend, her lover boy, whose claim to fame was not prosecuting presidents or deep legal scholarship, but name changes, legal name changes, and doing slip and fall ambulance chasing stuff, real dirtbag stuff, real scumbag like community college law degree stuff, okay? What's interesting about this reporting is that it gets even worse. It's getting even worse for Fani because now the judge has decided that on the table is going to be, what was Fani doing at the White House? What's going on here? With all of these trips being billed to the taxpayers of Georgia, with Fani Willis and Loverboy going to the White House, along with a number of different new revelations about what Loverboy was spending taxpayer money on. Cruises, trips to Napa Valley for him and Fani. What exactly was Big Fani doing in Napa Valley? Was she at Nancy Pelosi's vineyard? Was she driving around with Paul Pelosi? That's dangerous, no matter who you are. What was going on? Was Nancy mixing them a martini? Very dry. Starting at 11 a.m. Let's go. We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But this judge seemingly will find out. Let me set this up for you, okay? Fani Willis's Loverboy is being paid more than any other attorney on this team. Fani Willis's Loverboy is taking Fani on romantic excursions, even though he's married. Very exciting. He's getting divorced right now because of this. Fani Willis's Loverboy is on this case because Fani's doing a big old payout. Fani's getting charged. Fani, according to the records, Fani's getting charged by Loverboy past midnight for work after dark. We kid you not. Here are the records. Watch.
Fani Willis's Loverboy, Nathan Wade, might be the hardest working lawyer in America. Nathan allegedly billed taxpayers for 24 hours of work on the Trump-Georgia case in a single day. That means Nathan was working all day and all night on Fani's case. What would Loverboy be working on past midnight? He wouldn't be billing Fani. No, he couldn't be. I'm sure he was just burning the midnight oil at the office. Loverboy's billed nearly $700,000. Is he making more than the lawyers who aren't sleeping with Fani? Is he making more because he's more qualified than they are? Or is the lover just working harder?
ALX and Robbie are two producers on this program, and I expect puns. Boys, we got to get some puns, okay? Let's get some puns going. I want more puns about Loverboy and Big Fani. Because Loverboy has certainly been laying down the law with Big Fani, taking the gavel into his own hands and making sure that Fani knows the wood on the bench. I'm not going to do it. We're going to work on it. We're going to workshop it, okay? We're going to workshop it. But there is someone who's working so very hard on Big Fani. That is Loverboy. And Loverboy is making sure that you know that he is the best man for the job. Loverboy's credentials are extensive, as we have covered. Now, I know you're going to say he's prosecuting the president. This is one of the biggest cases potentially in American legal history, right? You're prosecuting a former president. This is going to go into the history books. You're going to need a real legal professional. You're going to need somebody who's really hit the bricks. Graduate from some Ivy League school, presumably. Somebody with a bright, sharp IQ. Somebody who's really proven himself in the legal profession to take on a case this big. I mean, if you're going to take on Big Fani, then you better be willing to handle it. And this man, he certainly has the credentials. Watch.
God, wasn't it them that attacked this lawyer of impeccable credentials? Is it that some will never see a black man as qualified, no matter his achievements? What more can one achieve?
Well, the race card isn't going to get you out of this one, Fani. We found Loverboy's resume. Impeccable? Not a word I'd use to describe Nathan Wade's credentials. Some of his highest profile cases involve car accidents. Loverboy represented a lady who was rear-ended by a beer truck. He tried getting her $300,000 for emotional and physical damages, but the case was dismissed. Loverboy's a piranha in small claims court. He represented an electronics store who claimed the customer owed him $11,000 for some speakers. Wade won that one. And his biggest court victory of all time, Nathan Wade helped two people get their names changed.
I mean, this guy, this is a straight up Matlock over here, okay? You're talking about a few good men. You can't handle the truth, Tom Cruise. Come on. I mean, you are talking best lawyer in the country here. I mean, and as you can hear, as you heard there, this guy is an expert on getting rear-ended. He wins those ones. And so Big Fani's thankful for that. Big Fani made sure that Loverboy was all tip-top for his performance and was staffed correctly. Loverboy was able to travel to Washington, D.C. on the Georgia taxpayer dime to go meet with the White House, people that we're paying, by the way, and go collude with them before the case. Isn't that interesting? Now, this would be called obstruction of justice, right? This would be called collusion. These are the kind of things that they impeached Donald Trump for in Ukraine or accused Donald Trump of doing with Russia. This would be patently illegal. Of course, the statute of limitations for something like this is going to be 2029. And so I very much look forward to a Trump White House looking into this when we get the reins back in 24, but I'm getting ahead of myself. You see, Loverboy, with his incredible pedigree of legal pariah, I mean, this guy was changing names in courts, getting speakers paid for in small claims. He was welcomed up to the White House. I mean, who wouldn't want to meet with this absolute ace of a lawyer? This guy was welcomed up to the White House to go meet with Joe Biden for hours on end. Now, I don't know Joe Biden, but his regime. Now, what exactly would he be doing? A slip and fall ambulance chaser lawyer from the poorest, worst run third world district in Georgia. Why would this guy be invited to go sit down with the White House? Even Joe Biden's White House doesn't really have time for that. Joe Biden barely has time to be the resident of the White House. He's on vacation half the time. He's lounging about on a Bahama island, Saint Croix, which is where he was over the winter break. Or on a beach in Delaware, unable to drag a beach chair. Flabby man boobs. But ladies and gentlemen, if you say flabby, Loverboy's there. Watch.
But it's a lot worse than a sexual kickback scheme. Documents show Fani's lover boy met with the Biden White House while he was investigating Trump twice. Fani's lover boy files for divorce. The next day, Fani taps him to be Trump's special prosecutor. Then Fani's lover boy has an 8-hour conference with Joe Biden's White House counsel. Then a few months later, the lover boy has an 8-hour interview with the White House. And lover boy billed the taxpayer $2,000 for each meeting, which would mean local prosecutors prosecuting Donald Trump are officially working with the Biden White House.
So, besides stiffing Big Fani, Loverboy is also stiffing the Georgia taxpayers and the American taxpayers, because we're paying for the White House counsel to go meet with Loverboy to prosecute Donald Trump. And that's illegal, it turns out. Did Fani Willis conspire with Biden's White House? We may find out soon. Let's read, ladies and gentlemen. The judge presiding over former President Donald Trump's election conspiracy case in Georgia has a scheduled hearing for Thursday, today, to consider the request for discovery from one of Trump's alleged co-conspirators who's seeking access to any records to potentially catch Fulton County prosecutors conspiring with Joe Biden's White House. Fulton County Superior Judge Scott McAfee issued a one-page order on January 17th summoning the attorneys for Trump DOJ official Jeffrey B. Clark, Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis to appear in his Atlanta courtroom. Clark's motion to compel, dated January 12th, asked the court to order Fani Willis to turn over any evidence documenting any contact she may have had, citing travel receipt bills for the Democrat DA's office totaling $4,000 for 2 8-hour meetings with Joe Biden, costing $2,000 each. The White House officials. One was in late May of 2022 for a conference, and one was a D.C. interview in mid-November. Both financial statements were filled out under the project title Anti-Corruption Special Prosecutor. And of course, you have you can see them in black and white here. It's important. We always show you the evidence. Go ahead and scroll down the article, please, Rose. There you go. Up, scroll past it. Up, my friend. So, ladies and gentlemen, is it not appearing? We're gonna actually get this correct. Okay. Well, strange that. Here you go. Here's the actual invoice. I don't know why this isn't. There you go, buddy. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have what you could consider a smoking gun. This is the billing to the taxpayers for Fani Willis to collude with Joe Biden's White House to make sure that they could stiff as hard as possible the taxpayer. And it's going to get them in big trouble. Here's the breaking news. This is patently illegal. Watch.
They're crunching the numbers, and it appears that the prosecutor, Wade, spent more than $6,000 on travel in just 2 months of the year 2022. That's when he was working for the DA, Fani Wade. At least 2 of those trips, he bought plane tickets for himself and Wade, both to San Francisco and to Miami. And now a whole new line of inquiry and attack has opened up against the prosecutors. Defense attorneys want to know about White House meetings between Wade and White House officials. Why did the meetings take place? What was discussed there? Were they given instructions on how to prosecute former President Donald Trump? The criticism has gotten to the point where some in the legal community are asking whether the DA can continue to do her job.
They've managed to kick up enough dust that the real issue, which is her ability to go forward as the prosecutor, is becoming more and more obscured as more and more revelations are being brought out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have confirmation that Rolls-Royce's computer is being messed with by probably our intel agencies or the communist Chinese. The article that was in play, that didn't populate correctly on his computer, and here it is now. There are the receipts. Going to be really hard to push forward with a prosecution of Donald Trump for election conspiracy when the actual conspiracy is Big Fani and Loverboy heading up to work with Joe Biden to prosecute Joe Biden's foremost political opponent, only political opponent, actually, because Donald Trump is the Republican nominee. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there is a public hearing that is happening in Fulton County. And the residents of Fulton County are turning on Fani Willis. Now, we have shown you video before of Donald Trump after getting the mugshot that hangs prominently in our studio, of the people of Fulton County walking out into the streets to cheer on Donald Trump. Now, these are individuals who come from a very impoverished place, a place that has been run into the ground by people like Big Fani and Loverboy and the corruption there, third world. If you've ever gone to any of these places have not gotten better over the last 70 years. They've gotten dilapidated and arguably far worse under the leadership of these type of corrupt goblins. So these people walked out into the street to cheer on Donald Trump, which is incredible. These are areas that vote like 90% Democrat. Yet nonetheless, they are out in the streets cheering on for Trump, cheering Trump on, saying, free my boy Trump, free my N-word Trump, which is what they say in the video. Ladies and gentlemen, is it smart for Fani Willis to push forward? We know Loverboy is pushing forward, but is it smart for Fani to carry on this prosecution? It's becoming politically very, very nerve-wracking for somebody in her position. She holds an elected position. People aren't taking to this lightly. Here's what it looked like in the streets as Donald Trump was leaving the courthouse after his mugshot. You can see people literally cheering for him. Free Trump.
Which one are you in, though?
They don't want you to see this footage. They don't want you to see this video. This is after Trump's arrest. To my knowledge, we're the only people that play this video. This is Fulton County after Trump's arrest. Free Trump. They're screaming.
They got everybody. Look at that fucked up.
Ladies and gentlemen. That video we popularized, and it went insanely viral. We put it out and millions and millions of views. It broke a narrative. But now the chickens are coming home to roost, as it were, and they're finding plenty of shade right under Big Fani. Ladies and gentlemen, residents of Fulton County are showing up at public hearings to state their displeasure with Big Fani and Loverboy. Now that the details are coming out about this, and now that these people who live in squalor, who live in crime and infestation, and Fani Willis is freeing and springing from jail every criminal, murderer, arsonist, rapist in Fulton County to go live out on the streets and commit more crimes. Fani Willis, who is singularly directed to go after Donald Trump by her overlords, the dark money Soroses of the world, the Biden regime, who cares not for any of her community. That community is now turning on her. And it is a really special moment, ladies and gentlemen. A based resident has now gone viral. A bunch of people showed up, but one man in particular showed up to express in the harshest of terms his displeasure with Fani Willis at a public hearing. This is our based bomb for the day. Please enjoy.
It's over. Well, I want to let you know that Derek Blasingame, I'm done with Fulton County fumbling our elections. I'm done with the gross mismanagement of our taxpayer dollars by the Fulton County Democrats on this body. I'm disgusted at the information that is coming out of the district attorney's office as a taxpayer. I am done with most of your silence at the DA's apparent love affair with the special prosecutor and gross mismanagement of taxpayers' dollars to pursue what appears to be a frivolous lawsuit based off of partisan politics. Apparently, guys like me need to court Fulton County female executives if we want a free ride at all paid expense. Apparently, we need to pursue Natalie Hall and Fani Willis or maybe the executives in other departments if we want a full ride and full pay. The DA appears to be trying to protect past elections, but upon information and belief, she's trying to interfere with future elections by trying to convict a candidate before the general election. I'm requesting a financial audit to be done by the county auditor of the district attorney's office immediately.
I do my best not to judge people on this program, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that man probably isn't like a MAGA hat wearing Republican, lives in Fulton County, Georgia, showing up at a public hearing, and he is burning the place to the ground, talking about the corruption and the shame that it is bringing on their community. Imagine living there. It's fun to make fun of Big Fani and Loverboy. Loverboy certainly ensuring that everyone from the taxpayer to Big Fani getting stiffed. But imagine living there. Imagine your community is in rot and that crime is rampant and that every criminal gets sprung directly back onto the streets to terrorize you and your family. And imagine you have to live through that and all you see is the person who's there elected to protect you is going after Donald Trump for what? Making a phone call? For doing what every Democrat's done for the last 50 years when they lose an election? Oh, it was stolen from me. Yeah, you'd be pissed too. Fulton County residents are showing up at public hearings to impersonate Fani Willis and to publicly humiliate her. The tide has now turned. Because of reports like this, and because of shows like this, we are able to do the one thing that these people can't tolerate, which is ridicule. They cannot tolerate public humiliation. They live and die by headlines. And they can't stand it when there's salt and light in their life. They cannot stand it when we expose them. And so, the exposing shall continue. Not the kind that Loverboy's doing to Fani, but the time that we do on this show. People are fed up. Check this out. People are doing impersonations of Fani Willis. Voters are. Watch.
My name is Fat Ass Sass and Crass No Class, Fulton County. I'm incognito today, y'all, because the white folks is after me. I got a little bit of a PR problem. Natalie, you might be able to help me with. I could use the name of your PR firm. You know, the one that got you on the top 100 list? That's the kind of PR I'm looking for. You know, I know you'll understand that nothing and nobody comes between me and my Nathan's hot dog. Yeah, come on up in here now, my dark and lovely lunch. Oh, yeah, there you come on. Yes, my PR firm, all they tell me to do is take me to church. Yeah. Take me to church, I worship you, dog. You're the light of my life. Please forgive me my sins, but I would fall on a knife. You are my destiny, baby. Good God, just get rid of your wife. Take me to church, I go to work. I get my freak on. Take me to church, I write a check. They let me say a few words.
What? I had never seen that clip. Oftentimes we watch this stuff live, you know, and I just can't believe it. How did he come back from that? I got my Nathan's hot dog right here. Nathan's hot dog. The guy's name's Nathan Wade. Loverboy is Nathan Wade. And what is she talking about there exactly? Something that we have raged about on this program. As simple Christians, really important to note that you shouldn't try and bend or contort your faith in order to match the politics of the day, right? Render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Christ had really clear lines on this kind of stuff. Like, don't wrap yourselves in the robes of the gospel when you're clearly behaving in a criminal capacity. That is the way to feel hellfire. It's just a bit of advice. We try as hard as we can to, like, again, we do a political and news show here, but there is no more grotesque action that is taken by the modern day Democrat Party than to use the black church to go into and then to do boom, clap, hallelujah campaign speeches from the podiums of black churches. Man, I got to tell you, like, Christ created a whip and went and flipped tables and then whipped people inside of synagogues for engaging in behavior like this. And for engaging in, like, personal profiteering inside of the church. It's bad, man. It's just bad. It's just cut and dry, okay? Read the Gospels. But yet, lo and behold, as soon what that crazy woman with the hot dog was talking about was, as soon as Fani Willis found out that she's cheating, paying essentially a male gigolo, slip and fall ambulance chaser to go after Donald Trump, and they're going on lavish excursions together. We have the credit card receipts. It's worth putting up. Can we toss that up? We have the credit card receipts, just in case you're wondering the kind of wild excursions that they go on. Here, you can see here, American Airlines trips for Fani Willis and Nathan's hot dog, Loverboy, to Royal Caribbean. Look at that, Royal Caribbean. Oh, look, to a vineyard in Napa. What exactly are they doing? And they're billing this to the taxpayers. Oh, man. This is why people are so furious. And as soon as this came out, Fani Willis did the one thing that every Democrat does. Bill Clinton on down. As soon as they're caught in some type of horrible sex crime, sex scandal, corruption, they sprint to a podium inside of a church and then try and play the victim. Not good. This is what Fani Willis said. She said, "You're only coming after me because I'm black, and black women can't be expected to be perfect." That's her message to us. If you criticize me, you're a racist, and also I'm doing this on behalf of God. Okay, you know what? It's your immortal soul, but this is not the way. Watch it. Your skin will crawl. Watch.
All the glory I receive, it's his grace, not a perfect me. We are at a time in history, people. Hear me on this. We are at a time in history when you can no longer sit back and just let other folks do it. You cannot expect black women to be perfect and save the world. The Lord is completing us. We are not perfect. We need your prayers. We need to be allowed to stumble. We need grace. With that kind of support, we will move mountains and do Jesus' will, stumbling all the way. So his flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child has a message for each of you today. Please find a way to do your extraordinary, God-given assignment and make this community and the world a better place for all of his people.
I would, at face value, advise you to not say, like, black women can't be perfect. What does that even mean exactly? And how are you using the name of Jesus Christ to defend this exactly? I speak as a simple Christian, but also as a commentator. Probably not the right tactic to dig into the Gospels and say, Jesus is defending this. I think you're going to have some really very, very shaky religious legs to stand on. Theocratic legs to stand on. inside of Trump's prosecutor Nathan Wade's $6,000 spending spree on luxury cruises and Caribbean resorts. Ladies and gentlemen, Royal Caribbean cruise ship Freedom of the Seas. Nathan Wade and Fani Willis took a romantic trip aboard it after he was named special prosecutor. Let's go ahead and look at the cruise ship. Let's go through some of the luxuries of these people from the most impoverished county of Georgia. That looks like a nice place to spend a romantic weekend. There's Big Fanny and Loverboy getting ready to bend over the Georgia taxpayer. Here's a Hyatt Regency Royal Spa and Casino where they spent hundreds of dollars. Here's a beautiful cruise ship, vineyards, romantic vacations, and Fani Willis goes and grabs the podium of a church and says she's the victim because of her skin color and because she's a woman. It's not going to work. And before you play the race card, perhaps you should consider that the card that you are swiping to go visit the January 6th committee and get your marching orders from them, maybe this is part of the deleted files from the January 6th committee, perhaps you should consider that card is traceable. And we can actually see the charges. And we can know that you, Fani Willis, herself, went and met with the January 6th committee in order to get a download as to how to prosecute Donald Trump. How deep does this rabbit hole go? It gets worse. Watch.
And when Fani wasn't getting sexual kickbacks and colluding with Biden's White House, she had Adam Schiff on speed dial. Fani was working with Adam Schiff in the January 6th case to build the Georgia prosecution. You remember the January 6th committee that banned Republicans from joining and then destroyed all the evidence they collected? It's almost as if Biden's running the Trump prosecutions from the White House.
Isn't he? Isn't that what this is all about? It is so egregious and it is so illegal and is so rotten to the core. Report Fani Willis secretly colluded with January 6th committee could blow up the case. Now, further criminal referrals for Big Fanny for Marjorie Taylor Greene. Congresswoman Greene, arguably the most notable and powerful and prominent member of the Georgia delegation to D.C., is saying this prosecution must move forward. It's Fani Willis who's going to be facing jail time. Watch.
And our Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, where I am asking for them to investigate for criminal investigations into Fani Willis and her boyfriend Nathan Wade. I can tell you right now, I'm a lifelong Georgian, and we are sick and tired and fed up with Fani Willis using her Fulton County position and Fulton County tax dollars not to prosecute real criminals, but to go after Joe Biden's top political opponent, which is President Trump and other co-defendants in their entire effort to claim that we shouldn't care about elections when absolutely elections are one of the most important things we have in this country. And so I'm recommending criminal referral to Governor Kemp and Chris Carr against Fani Willis and her boyfriend. She's taking Fulton County taxpayer dollars and she's paying her boyfriend nearly $700,000 while he takes her on lavish vacations, not only in this country, but internationally as well. You talk about pay to play. And then he is invoicing her office, which is the Fulton County taxpayers, saying that he somehow worked 24 hours in one day. I'm sorry, that is corruption, and that is an absolute lie. Not only that, he was sent up and he met with the Biden White House as he is planning to prosecute President Trump. We know exactly what this is. I'm calling on Governor Kemp and our Attorney General Chris Carr, investigate and prosecute Fani Willis and end this witch hunt immediately. It's outrageous.
Breaking news from seconds ago. This just posted a minute ago. Marjorie Taylor Greene had just filed a complaint with the Georgia Ethics Commission against District Attorney Fani Willis' alleged boyfriend, Nathan Wade, for potential violations of state law. It's getting real. This is from foxnews.com. Let's click on the article. MTG files complaint against secret boyfriend of Georgia DA prosecuting Trump. Serious violations. Marjorie Taylor Greene has worked with her attorneys to outline those serious violations. This is big. Marjorie Taylor Greene very, very close with Donald Trump. Donald Trump commenting on all of this. I tell you the truth. Donald Trump is an animal. What do I mean by that? He's ferocious in situations like this. Like, you should not, he's been a rock-ribbed brawler inside of the celebrity and scandal department of America for the better part of the last 50 years. You are not going to outdo Trump on situations like this. Remember Donald Trump with the FBI lawyers that were cheating on their spouses together? Her lover, Peter Strzok and his lover, the lover Lisa Page. Like, that was almost more damaging, their personal failings and the sexual scandals, than it shouldn't be this way, but then them spying on Trump and colluding in order to use the Justice Department and the FBI to stop Trump's election. The fact that they were cheating on their spouses together, it just totally made them immoral human beings. So they are walking directly into the jaws of Donald Trump here, and, well, it's starting to get very delicious. Here's Donald Trump recently on Big Fanny and Loverboy.
We had a very big event yesterday, as you saw, in Georgia, where the district attorney is totally compromised. The case has to be dropped. In fact, they say she's in far more criminal liability than any of the people she's looking at. So I think that when you look at what happened, where they pay a lawyer with absolutely no experience $700,000 who happens to be her lover or her boyfriend, and then they go on trips and vacations together, very expensive vacations together. And the reason they paid him so much because he was after me.
The reason they pay him so much is because he's coming after Trump. This guy has not made enough to pay for a Bazooka Joe bubblegum stick in his legal profession and pedigree. Yet here he is coming after Donald Trump, getting paid nearly $1 million by the taxpayers to go after Donald Trump. It's fraudulent. And these people are brought low. They are brought low. These evil people, these leaders, are always humbled. Trust in God's timing here. They're always humbled, especially if they insult the church and if they insult the tenets of Christianity. Like if they're abusing that position, which is what you do when you go stand up and cling to a podium and declare this is only happening to me. Like all these bad things that I created, all these things, like the consequences of my own actions are happening to me because I'm a black woman. There is mercy and salvation and repentance in our faith, but don't abuse the podium of the church like that. Don't shroud yourself. Don't wrap yourself in that and then claim that I am allowed to engage in this criminal behavior. It's bad. It's all bad. Also, another final thing is don't use Satanists or witches to try and profit politically from. Also, not a very great Christian thing to do. If we're going to tick a box as to what's the best Christian thing to do here, don't use witches, Wiccans, and Satanists in order to get gains in this earth. Not a great look. But that's exactly what Fani Willis did. Remember, the jury foreperson for the Donald Trump indictments is herself a witch. Oh, yeah. No, like an actual witch, like a pentagram spell-casting witch. We can prove it. We have her social media. We'll show it to you. She also behaves like a person that is deeply untethered to reality. Here, ladies and gentlemen, is the jury foreperson that was best friends with Fani Willis in order to get this indictment over the line. You have to get the indictment first. Fani Willis, best friend in all of this, a witch. Watch.
Did you personally want to hear from the former president?
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
Seems super grounded. Seems like somebody who you should absolutely entrust with the prosecution of Donald Trump. It seems like definitely the best kind of people. The witches in our society. Here that same person is on a CNN interview talking like with her eyes rolling back in her head, incapable of like staying still, writhing like somebody out of The Exorcist, like the girl in The Exorcist, with sheer glee about prosecuting Trump, ladies and gentlemen. And then we'll show you her witchcraft account. Watch.
Is it, would you say, when it comes to, there are indictments recommended, of course. Is it more than 12 people? Is it more than 20 people?
I think if you look at the page numbers of the report, there's about 6 pages in the middle that got cut out. Allow for spacing. It's not a short list.
Not a short list. More, I mean, when it comes to...
Oh, okay, great. Well, okay. Let's see. If you're having an affair with a married man, if you're behaving criminally with taxpayer money, if you're colluding with the White House, if you're using witches to get your indictments, don't think you're on the side of right here, lady. I'm just going to take and then if you're desecrating the altar of the church, don't think you're on the side of justice and right and light. But who am I to judge, right? Like, who am I? We'll leave these things up to God himself. And it does seem as though there are judgments being made in this case. Here, check this out. Judge previously removed Fani Willis from 2020 election case for political bias. What would that political bias be? The judge presiding over the former Donald Trump's election conspiracy case in Georgia has scheduled a hearing on Thursday to consider a request of discovery from one of Trump's co-defendants. Fulton County Superior Judge Scott McAfee issued a one-page order. Clark's motion to compel dated January 12th, asked the court to deliver Willis to turn over any evidence documenting any contact she had with the White House. Turns out that this judge has also previously kicked Fani Willis off of election cases. Now, we did a thread, actually, going back to Fani Willis's own questioning of election integrity in her own county of Fulton County, Georgia. It is quite astonishing. Alex, can you grab that? Fani Willis has a long history herself of questioning the results of elections. This went thermonuclear. We did it before she scrubbed all of her social media. She deleted everything after we did this. And we went back and we were able to surface all of the times that Fani Willis has said that elections were rigged, or that elections were corrupt, or that there was funny business happening with water leaks and such inside of Georgia. The kind of things that she wants to lock people up in prison for, she herself was doing. It's truly remarkable, ladies and gentlemen. Judge in Trump prosecutor's divorce case cuts off DA Fani Willis' lawyer during hearing. Let me interrupt you. They're getting badgered in court. These people are being absolutely manhandled in court. Not the kind of manhandling that Fani Willis does with Loverboy. Very different, but nonetheless, truly embarrassing. Judge unseals divorce case of Fani Willis' prosecutor, Nathan Wade. Fulton County DA's deposition is put on hold in another dramatic twist in Trump's election subversion trial. So you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, all of the spending that is getting them in trouble. Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney who charged Trump, faces accusation of inappropriate relationship with Nathan Wade, the prosecutor she hired to pursue the case against the former president. Unsealing Wade's divorce case means Willis now faces more secrets of her ties to him being spilled. The affair allegations threaten to derail the election case in which charges Trump and 18 other allies working to overturn the 2020 election. Willis has defended hiring Wade, who had little prosecutorial experience, to handle the case against Trump, but has not directly denied the romantic relationship. Trump and others have seized on the allegations of the affair. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we did as soon as Donald Trump was prosecuted. We went through, scraped all Fani Willis's social media, and surfaced Fani Willis straight up questioning elections. Fulton County DA Fani Willis regularly questioned election results using her office to push unfounded election conspiracy theories. Georgia could determine, this is Fani Willis posting on November 4th of 2020. A team of lawyers needs to watch them count every single vote. They can start with Fulton, where we're having water leaks. What ballots are they throwing out? Georgia Lips given honest accounting. No stunts, Fani says, criticizing her own election process. Here's Fani Willis with radical Black Lives Matter activists. Fani Willis advocating and campaigning for Democrats inside of her public office with proud Democrat mugs. Fani Willis talking about the water pipe burst in Fulton County. Fani Willis saying that they can do better in their counting of elections. Fani Willis talking about how the Secretary of State is the person who controls elections, and I wonder if they realize how important that role is and that, well, Democrats won't get a fair shake. And here's Fani Willis declaring that the 2020 election was an absolute disaster, along with saying that many of us feel like they should abolish the Electoral College. Fani Willis against the Electoral College. Incredible. Truly, truly remarkable. Fani Willis is going after Donald Trump for his tweets. Seems like this could absolutely boomerang and could potentially hit Big Fani right where it hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, we are efforting Ken Paxton, who is the Attorney General of Texas. Now, our team is working on it. He is going to be joining the show soon, but I want to let you know, I want to just let you know that there's a preview here. We're having some slight connectivity problems. We'll be bringing you the Attorney General as quickly as we get him on. To preview that, let's set up another disaster in the making for the Biden regime. A showdown with another state, the state of Texas. Constitutional rights to defend Texas against invasion supersedes federal law, says governor. Man, it is nice to see Texas acting like Texas again. Ladies and gentlemen, earlier this week, all of the women on the Supreme Court, including John Roberts, voted to do something astonishing. Voted to say that the federal government has the right to come into a state and to declare that that state must be invaded. Regardless of what threats that may pose to the state, that state has a right to, that state has no right to protect itself from invasion, and in fact must allow invasion to occur from foreign enemies. Now, if you're scratching your head at that ruling and saying, wait a second, that seems to be exactly the opposite of the founders who ratified the Constitution, the opposite of what they would want, you'd be correct. Of course, the people who wrote the Constitution, the document that the Supreme Court is supposed to uphold with the great shame of Justice Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, of all people, voting with the left wing of the court to allow Joe Biden to go in and cut the razor wire in Texas. You might be saying, wasn't the Constitution written at a time when a foreign power was invading sovereign states here in America, and we actually created a country because that invasion was so egregious to the rules of this nation? Wasn't that the purpose of the Constitutional Convention? To ensure that states had a right to protect against invasion from the British or the Spanish or anywhere? Yes. And that our founders would be rolling over in their graves at a Supreme Court that says, no, the federal government will allow for you to be invaded as a state. You as a state have no rights here. Yes. Doesn't that stand directly against multiple articles of the Federalist and multiple articles of our Constitution? Yes, you'd be right. And more importantly, what's the actual game here? Why the invasion? I think it's really important to sort of put a pin in what's happening. There are, at time of recording, based on the best expert knowledge of demographics in this country, 30 million illegal criminal aliens that are here. So, ladies and gentlemen, those 30 million illegal criminal aliens are now at the behest of the Democrat Party being pushed for full citizen and voting rights. That's what this new immigration bill is about. If you add 30 million new people to the American voter rolls, what does that do? Well, data shows us that at a rate of 90%, first generation immigrants vote for Democrats. So what Democrats are doing then is adding to the voter rolls the amount of votes that would mean permanent Democrat majorities forever in America. The widest margin in the presidential popular vote was 17 million votes, and that was in 1984 with Ronald Reagan versus Mondale. And so what you are effectively doing here by allowing and then by giving citizenship to these criminal migrants is a permanent Democrat majority forever. That is the end goal. It has nothing to do with our economy. It has nothing to do with humanitarian aid to people. It has nothing to do with asylum. It has nothing to do with kids in cages. It has everything to do with changing the demographic makeup of this country for permanent control by the superstate and their servants inside of the Democrat Party. Those are the numbers, that's the data, and that's the game afoot. And that is why this issue is so important. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a revolution brewing in Texas. The Supreme Court, in a ruling that is a disgrace to our nation and the founding of this country, decided that Texas is no longer able to defend itself. Now governors across the nation are beginning to back Texas and saying, hold up, if you can do this to Texas, well, what rights do we have? It's been pretty special to see as Texas begins to act like Texas again. And as Republican governors begin to coalesce around, wait a second, states' rights actually do matter. This is a conversation we've been waiting to have for quite a while. Check it out.
Several high-profile Republican governors, including Ron DeSantis of Florida, now rushing to Abbott's defense, arguing states like theirs also have a right to protect themselves. And their support comes only a few days after the Supreme Court sided with the Biden administration, ruling some of the border razor wire put up by Texas must come down. Now, as you guys also mentioned, there's a small number of Texas Democrats calling on President Biden to federalize the Texas National Guard. The White House has not indicated it's looking to do such a thing, even though it's pushing for a legislative solution with Congress.
Greg Abbott responded in the harshest possible terms to this. And by the way, when Democrats say they want to secure the border, a reminder, Democrats battled Texas all the way to the Supreme Court in order to remove the barriers that they put up to defend their state. And they wish to strike a border agreement with Republicans? After doing that? No. And the Texas governor, Greg Abbott, is calling out this bullshit for what it is and are saying we're not going to suffer it. Not here, not now. This is Texas. God bless Texas. Watch.
It was the states that created the United States, and when the states voted to create the United States and have a constitution, included in that agreement was the compact that the federal government would take care of the states. And Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution speaks to that and says that if the federal government does not take care of the states, then the states are in danger, well, we can ask the federal government to live up to its obligation. Then the authors of the Constitution knew there would be times when the federal government would not live up to its duty. And so they empowered states in Article 1, Section 10, the right of self-defense. And what Texas is asserting is our Article 1, Section 10 right of self-defense, because the President of the United States is not fulfilling his duty to enforce the laws passed by Congress that deny illegal entry into the United States.
It's blatantly unconstitutional. It should wither under an actual just court. The states of Montana, Florida, South Dakota, Virginia, Oklahoma, Georgia, Utah, West Virginia have all backed Texas in this. These are dangerous times. And ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to be joined by the chief law enforcement official of the state of Texas to talk about these dangerous times and what Texas is going to do about it. Attorney General of Texas, Ken Paxton, joins the show now. Mr. Attorney General, thank you so much for being on the program. Appreciate you sticking with us through what I heard was a couple of technical difficulties, but nothing as difficult as the federal government coming in to cut your border, your razor wire at your border. First off, your take on this, our take is there's no way that the founders of the Constitution would have ever intended the federal government to be able to force an invasion on a state. That seems utterly antithetical to the actual founding of our nation, which was to have 13 different states that protected themselves, right? Am I correct in that?
I mean, I'm the one that filed this lawsuit. It started happening. You know, when I got impeached, I couldn't do anything. I saw it happening while I was out. The day I came back, I brought this to my staff and said, we have to stop this. There's no way that the federal government has the authority to damage our property, to stop us from defending the border. So just because we have a 5-4 ruling by the Supreme Court doesn't mean they're right. And it doesn't mean we're going to help them damage our own property and allow them to easily come cut our fences down. It's still wrong. And we're actually still in this case. It's not over. Obviously, it's a bad sign when they get rid of the injunction, but we're actually still in this case on the merits at the trial level.
So what is the path moving forward? I've seen some very strong statements out of the Texas state legislature and the governor, whose administration you serve. What is the path forward here? More razor wire, I'm seeing.
Absolutely. More razor wire. We're going to start deporting people. I think in March, when that goes effective, we have legislation passed and it goes into effect, I think, in March. And once they start deporting people, I'm sure the Biden administration will love that. We are also still protecting Shelby Parks. We're not letting the Border Patrol in there to process people. They can come in if they need to do some emergency process, but we're not letting them in there just to let more people in. So you're right. It cannot be true that just because the federal government not just ignores their federal laws, but actually aids and abets the cartels in getting people here. Because remember, these people are coming to our country. They're being brought by the cartels. They're not hiding anymore. They're not trying to run from Border Patrol. I don't think people realize that. They're actually just being brought to us. And the Biden administration is helping get as many people here for the very reason that you talked about with the election as possible in as fast a period of time before Biden is out of office.
So can you please explain to me, who is certainly not a legal scholar nor a lawyer, how the Supreme Court could rule on this along, John Roberts, of course, to his great shame, but as predicted, and Amy Coney Barrett was a surprise to many people, how they could possibly rule that the Constitution, which was written by a bunch of people that had just rejected and repulsed the British invasion of their homes, would allow for the foreign invasion of a state. How do you square that?
So they didn't actually give us an explanation. They just got rid of the injunction. So we don't actually have an opinion letting us know why they said this. Now, we can go back to Roberts, 10, 12 years ago when the U.S. v. Arizona case came down. He sided with the liberal judges back then. And unfortunately now, I was hoping with the new justices that they would all stick together against Roberts on this issue. Or maybe Roberts could see the error of his ways over the last 10, 15 years in allowing that case to go forward, he's seen the consequences of not just Texas, but really the entire country. And yet, here he is again, blocking the states from protecting their very own citizens from all types of crimes and all potential of even terrorists coming across the border.
Does this mean no more sanctuary cities? I mean, right? Like, so does this ruling mean that the federal government can just seize control of sanctuary cities and that they have supremacy here when it comes to immigration policy? So the next Republican administration just marches directly into sanctuary cities and say, this isn't a real thing?
Yeah, it seems like that, doesn't it? It seems like if that's true, if it's true on one side, it certainly seems like the feds can do it on the other side, which is say, we're not going to honor sanctuary cities. You can't do that anymore. We're going to, move these people out of here. So you would think that, but none of this makes any sense. This is not the Constitution. This is a bunch of liberal judges ignoring the fact that we have a right as a state to protect ourselves. And you're right. It goes back to the founding of our country. And there's no way that the founders would say, oh yeah, if the federal government's not going to protect you, you have to let all the consequences and potentially, people dying, you have to let all those consequences happen, states. No, you have no right to fight back.
I mean, Madison actually talks about this in Federalist Papers. There are multiple articles in the Federalist Papers about the potential of a foreign invasion and how the states are the first line of defense. And so now, given this ruling, I guess you'd have to reverse engineer that, but then state that if a Republican became president and the federal government has supremacy here, then a Republican could build a wall like Fort Knox on the border, and Democrats couldn't do anything about it. I mean, right? Like, can't you reverse engineer this into like Texas? Like the federal government can assist in Texas, like in a next Trump administration could assist in Texas in building like a militarized wall on the border, including crocodiles and a moat.
I would think exactly if the Supreme Court's right, and obviously you'd have to have some congressional approval because actually none of this is congressional approval. So you're right. I think you're right. I think that if the Supreme Court's rationale is correct, any president can do anything about immigration he wants, and it's fine according to the Supreme Court.
I love reverse engineering this because like people, boom, clap, squee online, libs do, and then they don't understand like what happens when Trump wins a 350 electoral vote landslide in November, and then comes in and says, "Oh, well, lucky me. The Supreme Court's decided I can build anything I want on the border because I have supremacy here."
Exactly.
And so
I actually started thinking about this from the standpoint of, Congress has got to prove it. But under their theory, it's whatever Joe Biden wants to do or doesn't want to do, and then we have no ability to stop it. So if that's true, then presumably Trump can do whatever he wants to do, whether the states like it or not, or the federal government's authorized it, he can do it.
Okay, so we're going to go full Game of Thrones, like the Great White Wall. Like, fantastic. Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Again, I'm not arguing this is a good thing. Obviously, this is clearly a very bad thing. And now you've had the Republican Avengers have come to your side. It's actually quite neat to see an enormous phalanx of Republican governors have been standing up for Texas. What aid are they offering you?
So far, I mean, it's just words, but I do think that that's encouraging because hopefully this actually wakes the Supreme Court up. It wakes Congress up to actually act or maybe change because, look, there's up until now, the Supreme Court's never had any pushback from Republican governors other than a few, like Abbott or maybe Ducey when he was there, and occasionally DeSantis. Now, if you have Republican governors allying together to speak out, I think we've got a much better chance of the Supreme Court maybe paying attention and maybe switching one of those votes. I'm not sure. Maybe Roberts is a lost cause, but maybe Amy Coney Barrett is not.
Mm-hmm. So this statement by Governor Greg Abbott, which I'm sure you had a hand in helping craft, that you have also promoted on your X account, Mr. Attorney General, you say that you stand ready to bring any legal means necessary to defend Texas. We push back against the out-of-control federal government. So what does that mean? Because now people inside of the Texas delegations are saying, how about Joe Biden should just wartime federalize the Texas National Guard, should just send American troops to conquer Texas, right? Like, is that where we're heading?
If it is, it's pretty scary. I mean, I can't imagine that occurring, but look, we're in uncharted territory given the invasion that we have and the federal government aiding and abetting the invasion. And so We're fighting our own government. States, we need to realize this. We are fighting. We may not be doing it with guns. God help us if we end up there, but that is not the situation we should be in. The federal government should be helping us prevent the very bad consequences of allowing criminals and terrorists into our country. And it's hard to believe, but that's where we're at.
So the razor wire shall continue until morale approves. The deportations in the new immigration act that was just passed and signed into law, those will begin this spring. Do you believe that the federal government will step in to stop you from doing that? Joe Biden has threatened to.
Oh, I think they'll definitely try. I mean, they've been emboldened by the Supreme Court. Well, I say the Supreme Court, 5 members of the Supreme Court. So I have no doubt that they're confident that Roberts and maybe Coney Barrett will side with them. I don't know. Hopefully they'll wake up and realize the massive consequences to that. But we're not going to stop trying. We have to fight because we have an obligation to help protect our citizens if the Biden administration is going to do just the opposite.
So Article 1 of the Constitution allows for the states' rights to self-defense. Has that just been destroyed here? What's your legal reading on this, Mr. Attorney General?
No, I don't think you can ever destroy the Constitution. I mean, whatever they say it means, the words are pretty clear. So I think we have a right and an obligation to defend our borders when the federal government fails to do that. And it was contemplated, as you said, by James Madison. It was the governor spoke of that himself, that there were times that the founders were worried that the federal government wouldn't step in, and individual states have the right and the moral obligation to protect their citizens. And we're going to do it somehow, some way. We're going to do it.
Well, Godspeed in all of that. I have one final, I guess, potential scenario to discuss with you that I think might put this into clearer context. Regularly, I try as hard as I can to explain this to liberals, like what they are doing to themselves. Regularly, Vladimir Putin talks about the purchase of Alaska. And Alaska is closer to Russia than it is to mainland America, and talks about what a mistake that was and how he wants to take that back, how he wants to dissolve that treaty and essentially take back Alaska. And so under this ruling, Alaska wouldn't be able to defend itself from like a Russian invasion. Like, correct? Like the federal government could and may decide that Alaska just simply has to go back to the Russians.
Yeah, and not just it should be Joe Biden decides that. I think they were right. You know, they made a mistake in the 1800s, and yeah, just we're not going to stop it. Let Russia have it. And under this theory, Alaska would be just stuck. They wouldn't supposedly be allowed to do anything. We know that they would do everything they could to stop that from happening. But that is the theory. They would have no right, as long as the federal government, because they are preempted from protecting themselves, they can't protect themselves.
Such a poisonous political theory. Other than prayers, how can our audience help you, Mr. Attorney General?
Look, just stay engaged. I mean, keep talking about it. I'm grateful that you are, and encourage your political leaders to get involved. If you're in other states, which we have people out listening from all these states, encourage your governor, encourage your attorney general to speak out about what's going on, because the more they hear from us in Washington, the more likely we are to get what we need.
Yes, that is exactly right. There's true power in the people. It still is that way, thank God. That is what Democrats are actually trying to solve. That's the X in the equation that they are trying to solve with 30 million criminal illegal aliens in this country, is that to dilute your power as a citizen. Don't let them do it. God bless you for fighting, and God bless Texas.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Godspeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience there. We were working very hard on ensuring that we could get a crisp and clean shot. We know how disrupted it is sometimes when the connections aren't stable, and so we were able to get it sorted. And God bless all of those in Texas fighting, and our producers for making sure that we can get our guests here loud and clear. So we do have somebody who presumably might play this clip on her show. Joy Reid. Joy Reid is a salty lib. She's regularly the person who takes the mantle at the Salt That Lib salting, and we shall salt her today because Joy Reid had a triggered meltdown about Texas protecting itself on TV, and it is hysterical. So please get your salt shakers out for something we do on this program, every program, salting the lib. Let's go.
And very quickly, this massive resistance, it sounds like the old Southerners who said that we will resist integration by any means necessary, that Chip Roy language. How does that read inside of the Latino community?
I mean, it's very simple. You know, if you're the Republican Party, you're allegedly the party of laws and order, and you're essentially telling local authorities to break the law. No, so I think once again, going into this image of, you know, who is the party of law and order and who is the party for democracy, I think that's where we all have to highlight the hypocrisy, regardless of the politics. They're essentially telling people to break the law.
So Joy Reid wants to tell you that Republicans are terrorists, wants to tell you that by following the Constitution, Texans are essentially, and I quote, old Southerners who will resist integration by any means necessary. So they're calling now the criminal invasion of our nation immigration. This is the new racialized language that gets parroted out of people like Joy Reid's mouth. So she hates Trump. You're telling me she hates Trump more than anyone on earth. Yet she's decided to go to her hairstylist and say, give me the Trump. That's what you're telling me. If you hate Trump that much, then why do you do that? Don't make no sense to a guy like me. Show me. Let me see her. Let me see your Rolls Royce. Show the people. Because you may miss it. You may miss it if you don't look you don't look close enough. But you can see it here, ladies and gentlemen. Clear as day. She goes to her hairstylist and she goes, the Trump. She holds up a photo of Donald Trump. She says, give me that. Give me the Trump. You got some explaining to do, Joy Reid. Big Fani has some explaining to do. Loverboy has some explaining to do. I don't know. It's a question. I hope somebody asks. I really, truly do. We asked Piers Morgan yesterday if he's the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2. We are willing to ask the hard questions for you. Obviously, there are, hard things that we won't do, like be a lover boy to Big Fani. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are willing to go there on your behalf. Piers Morgan had us on yesterday for a hit. We had a great time. But there were big questions. If Joy Reid ever has me on her program, I will ask her, why do you ask for the Trump when you go to your hairstylist? When Piers Morgan had us on yesterday, we asked, why are you the pigeon lady from Home Alone 2? We do this for you. It's about fact-finding. It's about getting to the core of the truth. This is a question that we've all been asking for a very long time. And ladies and gentlemen, we asked it. Here we go.
The impending return of Donald Trump, the Teflon Don. We shall see. It's going to be a fascinating year. Lara, great to see you. Thank you so much. Send the family all my
really
best.
Quickly.
Benny, final word to you.
May I ask you a question?
Yes.
May I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This is a question that the internet's been asking for a very long time, and we don't have an answer, and it must come from you, sir. Were you in a movie with Donald Trump called Home Alone 2?
That is
Were
not
you
me.
The pigeon lady?
That is not me in Home Alone 2. I'm grateful for the chance to put the record straight.
That helped Kevin.
That's actually a female actress. It's not me. It looks nothing like
what? There's no shame in it, Piers.
Nice.
No
I am
shame.
not the pigeon lady in Home Alone 2. Although I do go in Central Park a lot and I can see the resemblance, but it's not me. But thank you, Benny. I appreciate it. You got your viral moment, you bleep.
I just had to bring it up. We had to. The reason we could do things like that is because we are independent, exclusively independent on this program, and we want to remain that way. We're one of the very few podcasts and streams that are not completely and totally wholly or at all owned by a corporation or by people who can pull the strings to make sure that we don't have moments like that, or that we can't do an entire show on Big Fanny and Loverboy. We want to be able to do that. We want to be able to talk about immigration so that they get permanent Democrat majorities. Obviously, that's the point. But you can't say stuff like that if you are corporately owned. And we wish to remain independent for you. We have some big things planned, and we want you to be part of them. We ask humbly, if you wish to support our program, join the Benny Brigade. The Benny Brigade is the membership that lets you be a brigade inside of the Salty Army. I have it right here on my mug. These mugs available inside of the Benny store on our website, bennyjohnson.com. bennyjohnson.com/brigade allows you, for less than what it costs to buy a $5 footlong per month, to support us and to keep us independent and to keep us rocking and rolling and doing this show. And we hope that you're rolling during this show. When you sign up for the Benny Brigade, you will get the exclusive Benny Brigade keychain sent to you free of charge, handmade by craftsmen, leathersmiths, and veterans here in this country, with the Benny Brigade Salty Army logo and a tank that shoots delicious, tasty pillars of salt at our enemies. Please consider joining today, bennyjohnson.com/brigade. Some very, very good news for you today. Let's start with billionaire Reid Hoffman pauses funding for Nikki Haley. Pauses. Billionaire Reid Hoffman. Democrat super donor Reid Hoffman. Nikki Haley is exclusively funded by Democrats. Nikki Haley is a Democrat. Nikki Haley's voters are Democrats. Nikki Haley's biggest donors are all Democrats. But now Nikki Haley hasn't done a great job, and so her Democrat overlords are stopping her funding. The only reason for Nikki Haley to be in this race is so that Democrats have an inside track to attack Donald Trump. This is the goal. Nikki Haley is an arsonist. She is trying to burn down the Republican Party from the inside. Just like John McCain, just like Mitt Romney. They're the same people, just like Paul Ryan. They're the same people. So it's really good when these bad things happen to the Nikki Haley campaign. Other good news, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of liberation and protecting our borders, our southern border needs protecting, our northern border needs protecting. And there's a man, a liberator, who has traveled to Canada. His name is Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is packing stadiums in Canada. Look at this. This is insanity. This is a Tucker Carlson speech in Edmonton, Canada. We know we have a lot of viewers in Canada, and we are absolutely thrilled that you are showing up for Tucker. If you showed up for Tucker last night in Edmonton, what I assume is a hockey rink, a hockey arena here, then God bless you. Here's what you heard from Tucker Carlson talking about Justin Trudeau being a dictator.
Oh, you know, go to Canadian Tire for an hour. Justin, can you watch my kids? I don't think you're going to do that. Once you hate on your country, it's totally cool. Don't worry, he's a good steward. But he will collapse under the weight of his own ludicrousness and go back to Cuba or do whatever he does. But, what? You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but it's just too great to check. Though if I ever meet him, I'm going to demand a 23andMe, like, right
away. He's talking about Fidel Castro being Justin Trudeau's father, which is actually plausible if you go look into it. Justin Trudeau's mom traveled a lot to communist Cuba. Justin Trudeau's father was a communist. And Castro, man, looks a shocking amount like Justin Trudeau. You line the two up side by side, and you can see the resemblance. It is astonishing. Is Justin Trudeau Fidel Castro's son? Well, if you look at the policies, well, it makes a lot of sense. If you look at the facial structure, makes a lot of sense. Check this out. Yeah. Wow. Especially the bottom right there. Holy cannoli. That's like that's a ringer, dude. That's a ringer. Toss a beard on Justin Trudeau, and it's like the same person. in fact. Look at some of these. Look at some of these other ones. And they're like, it's like it's just like a face swap. There you go. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know. We don't know. We don't have 100% assurity that Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son, although it sure as hell looks like it. We would need a DNA test for that. But we do have 100% assurity that you should probably diversify your investments. We try as hard as we can to be good financial stewards ourselves at this program. But looking at the landscape of finances and the people in charge of it, Janet Yellen, Joe Biden, you wouldn't let these people run a pop stand, a lemonade stand in your neighborhood, and you should not let them run the largest economy on planet Earth. Have you looked at the deficits that the Federal Reserve is running right now? The interest payments on this? It is unsustainable. Invest in gold today. Do so with my friends at Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold can help you back some of your savings very simply and very securely with gold, with precious metals, with an IRA, 401k, or actual physical gold and silver. They've earned the highest trust ratings in the precious metals industry, and their relationships are based on integrity, experience, and impeccable service. I know this myself, as I have invested with them myself. Go to protectwithbenny.com today or call 844-66-BENNY to get up to $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Protect your future now with Allegiance Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex, what are these tweets? Oh yeah, these tweets from Justin Trudeau. Read my statement on the passing of former Cuban President Fidel Castro. Not dictator, not communist murderer who attacked people because of their race or sexual orientation. No, these are like the kind of things that Justin Trudeau would really care about, right? Nope, not when Daddy does it. Justin Trudeau with this mewling, like whiny, lavish statement. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, today issued the following statement. It is with deep sorrow that I learned today the death of Cuba's longest-serving president, Fidel Castro. He was a larger-than-life leader who served his people for almost half a century. This is real. This is real. This is on the Canadian government's Prime Minister's page. It is still up. He's a legendary revolutionary, an orator. Mr. Castro made significant improvements on education and healthcare for his island nation. Also, Daddy never loved me. Daddy! So embarrassing. I'm so sorry if you live in Canada. Truly. We live in America, and we wish to keep this place free. We wish to do our very, very best to ensure that you, the native American, the person who was born here, that means you're a native here, are allowed to preserve this place for your future, for your family, for you. And the only way to do that is to ensure that this is a safe and happy place to live, and that we are bound together by something. And the way that our founding fathers did it was, well, they all believed in God. And so that is why we share a verse of the day. The verse of the day from Psalms 9. The Lord is a stronghold for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. And those who know your name put their trust in you. For you, O Lord, have not forsaken those who seek you. All that they needed to save Sodom and Gomorrah. And is America Sodom and Gomorrah right now? Yeah. Most nations go that way, unfortunately. All that they needed, all the angels needed, all that God needed was to save Sodom was one good man. Find me one good man. One good woman. Be that person. Save this nation. Be the one good person. You have not forsaken those who seek you. Seek God and find your stronghold in him. We will be oppressed, the verse says. Yes, obviously. That is how it happens in this sunken world. But we will have the victory in this life or the next. You're fighting, and I'm fighting right alongside you. It's your boy, Benny. See ya.